speed through. So just a few things that we're doing here in the community with your children, grandchildren in the community to try to educate and promote recycling.
That's beginning. Okay.
So if you don't know already, Waste Management is definitely here in the community donating to the Education Foundation to try to promote recycling through the schools. So a few things that we're doing to allow that is we have 2 full-time science teachers that are working on curriculums that affect all of the Humble ISD school district. So we have community gardens, science programs that are community-wide through the district, not just in one school, but through every elementary school. We are working with those children to bring community awareness about recycling, about how do I make this a better place than what it is today. So these are a few pictures of some of the science labs. Over this past year, we were able to give supplies to promote those as well. EcoBox. Who's familiar with the EcoBox program? So there's a few. This is actually through the school district as well, and we fund 111 teams, which is about 500 Humble ISD students, to actually build these robots. And we had some local schools that actually were placed in our district. So it's a nice program to see because the students are actually working with the teachers, building the robots, and then presenting them at the end of the year and having a contest to see who has the robot that does the environmental green things that we are asking the robots to do. Go to the next slide. So here's an example in Summerwood of some of the community gardens that have been able to be through every class, whether it's kindergarten, 5th grade. So they've each planted their own garden and planted those. If there's food or vegetables that come out of these fruit, they're donated to HAM so that then they're going back into the community. So they're trying to make it a full circle so the kids can see everything that's going on and then be able to donate it to those in need. And here's a few things that we've done locally as far as for recycling. So we've had some dumpster painting of recycling that was actually for the Earth Day presentations. So putting art so they understand recycling besides just, I'm throwing stuff away. Anyone can do that. But making it creative so it's a piece of them. So we asked a few of even the high school, the top one is actually Summer Creek's last year's. And then this is a local Girl Scout troop that actually participated as well. So they're able to put their art on it, and it was displayed at the Earth Day events in Houston. We volunteer 500 hours here locally in the community by WM employees to help with, activities to promote these recycling initiatives. And we're committed to helping, and if there's anything that we can help your business do or your children do, please let us know. We're out there, we want to volunteer, we want to make the commitment. Thank you very much.
We appreciate you so much. We've got so many wonderful partners, and they are a wonderful partner. Okay, Shannon Lopez, I'm sorry about that. So we're going to move on to some things. I wanted to connect the dot. Now, ladies, do you ever, anytime that your husbands don't finish a conversation or put that whole thought process out there, you may be wondering why. I wanted to kind of connect the dot on why you owe a debt to Gene Haddock, other than he taught me a lot of things. It was during that period of time that I was working with the Chronicle, and this is an area that he was thinking outside of the box. Because back, and you'll really appreciate those that are very involved with the school, at that time, Dr. Sconzo realized what was coming and what the battle that needed to be fought for the Texas legislature. Gene had something happen. Gene was always the kind that he said, ask for forgiveness instead of permission. And so he worked it out to where we had the editorial board come out and speak with Dr. Sconzo and 5 other superintendents at Region 4 way back when. That's what started this whole process. If it wouldn't have been for that, I would have never gotten to know Dr. Sconzo. I doubt this would have ever taken place. So again, Gene, thank you. And you can talk with him later about what they're doing over there because it's great for your different kinds of things that you do, getting together. Today, Mr. Hurst, well, let me back up a little bit. Dr. Sconza would have loved to be here today, but he's got some lame excuse about being on an Alaskan cruise. So, I guess it's okay. But then Mr. Hurst actually has one that's not as fun. He's out of town dealing with his mother's health. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And not only that, recently, was it a knee blowout, Marcia? Yeah. So keep Mr. Hurst in mind. This is not a Mr. Hurst roast. This is actually we're patting him on the back. A very dear friend of mine, Corey Turner, is going to come up and talk about that.
Thank you, Don. When Don reached out to me about spotlighting Mr. Hurst, I thought it was a great opportunity to spotlight someone that I haven't known for a long time personally, but I've seen from a distance for a long time. When he was at Atascocita Middle School, I was the editor at the time of the Observer newspaper. And most of the education emails that come in start something like, "I cannot believe this," in the subject line. "Do something about this person immediately." I've got to tell you guys something. Mr. Hurst would repeatedly fill my inbox, and it wasn't about emails from faculty or staff. It was about parents who just wanted someone to know something, a small gesture he had done that they appreciated. And those emails would come on a regular basis. And this is someone I hadn't met. And it was the Atascocita Middle School's faculty-student basketball game when I finally had the opportunity to meet him. And he just came alive. It was a lot of fun to watch. If you know me well, I'm fairly reserved, I'm fairly quiet. I get a little excited with a microphone, or if I'm doing dancing for partners or things like that. But we're put in situations when we're passionate about something that brings out certain qualities in us. And I think that describes Mr. Hurst very well. Before we go through the quick slideshow, raise your hands if you either have worked with Mr. Hurst or have met him in the past already. That's awesome. So you can see the impact that he's already having on our community. And since he couldn't be here, we put together a quick little slideshow about the school year. There's Mr. Hurst there. And I was just saying we'll go through these pretty quickly. The Starlets dance team this year won the grand champion title. The softball team sent care packages for our troops overseas. Several athletes on the swim team advanced to the state meet. The Bulldogs had a great season, a deep run into the playoffs. If you haven't seen this team play, you have got to get to Turner Stadium. I'm an old sports editor, so I'm kind of all into the sports, but the Bulldogs are a lot of fun to watch. The boys track team won the first ever state title. That's a huge accomplishment for a school this new. Summer Creek, they do this every year, but and all of the last high schools do a great job of this, but supported breast cancer. And there's the Ford couple, Lori, I'm sure many of you are familiar with her, and Coach Ford as well. And here's the top 10 graduates from the class of 2013. A few of the things you didn't have pictures of, but the robotics team from Summer Creek won first place and advanced to regional in Dallas. A side note about the robotics team, Mr. Hurst is actually their advisor. So he takes the time out of an already busy schedule to sponsor and follow these kids as they go forward. Staff members of the newspaper and the yearbook attended the National Journalism Convention in San Antonio. The school came together to honor Jason Bouton. He was a Summer Creek graduate that passed away far too young. He had a heart condition, and he was playing basketball at Glenn Junior College, actually. And tragedy, it's difficult to deal with when you see young people come together to deal with tragedy at such a young age. Those of you who were around to see that witnessed something special. The wrestling team advanced to state, and they hosted the Relay for Life, which had about 500 participants and raised a significant amount of money. We'll have a video on this later, but Mr. Pollard was named Humble ISD's Secondary Teacher of the Year. And these are just a few school spirit shots that the Observer's gotten over time. This was the faculty basketball game where Mr. Hurst blew out his knee right before the game, unfortunately. And we've got the shots, some of the teachers, the kids and teachers overlapping, getting involved. The teachers, but this had to be a lot of fun. I wish I would have seen that. It looks comical. Hoping none of these teachers are here because I didn't tell them this was coming. But you can see the excitement what the student body has at Summer Creek High School. And there's Mr. Hurst, and this is a t-shirt that the class of 2013 created earlier this year. And there's Mr. Hurst. The only other thing that may be better than him not being able to speak on his own behalf, there's two people here that can share some things from a perspective that I could never give. First, I'd like to have Mr. Phipps. I just saw him a second ago from Humboldt Middle School. He's going to give us just a quick testimony about his relationship with Mr. Hurst.
Good morning. I'm Mr. Phipps, and the principal of Humboldt Middle School, and I'm the only middle school in Humboldt ISD that's split between two high schools. Half my kids go to Humboldt High School, the other half come to Summer Creek. And believe it or not, I'm really nervous. I can talk to a gymnasium of 1,000 kids with no problem, but to stand here in front of you, I'm a little nervous. So, I want to talk to you about Mr. Hurst. This is my 9th year in the district, and Mr. Hurst has kind of worked for me as a mentor. He's shown me how it's okay to have the enthusiasm and to have fun with the kids, and then also work within the business aspect of all of what you have to do, and how you can balance those two. The one thing that I can honestly say that I'm not able to match him at is his energy. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. The guy simply never gets tired. Whether it's here at school all day, whether it's volunteering in the community, coaching Little League, whether it's doing robotics clubs, or on the weekend just doing projects here and there, he's constantly working, and he's committed and dedicated to the Humboldt, Summer Creek, Tallahassee City community. So what I would like you to know about Mr. Hurst is he's my mentor, and I think that he does an amazing job of connecting with the community. And I think that his heart is in everything that's best for every single child at Summer Creek High School. Thank you.
Thank you. And one more person who has an awesome story. She's been with Mr. Hurst for a long time, and she's the principal secretary at Summer Creek High School. Marcia, if you come forward and share a few words about Mr. Hurst now.
Why don't you tell them the truth? She runs the school.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to steal her thunder because I'm sure this will be good.
Not true.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
I apologize. I totally was not expecting to be speaking in front of this group today. But because of the kind of person that Byron is, I thought I needed to make a couple of comments. We have been working together for 12 years. I have been his secretary. This is my 19th year in Humboldt ISD, and the last 12 years I have worked with Byron. We started at Atascocita Middle, then we went to Wood Creek Middle, and now we're here. So just a couple of things that I have seen in him for as long as I have known him. He is a leader by example, and I have seen him do it with the student body, with his faculty and staff. He is not going to ask anybody to do something that he himself is not willing to do. And he has always been like that, and it is very appreciated by a lot of people. The other thing is he's very encouraging, whether it's the students, the high fives in the hall, the shake my hand, his faculty and staff, give you a hug, listen to what you have to say. If somebody had an opportunity for an advancement, he was always encouraging to them to do what is best for them. Sometimes it meant a big loss for him and it was disappointing, but he always felt that it was important for everybody to follow their dreams and do what they felt was best for them. So as a man, those are the two things that I have seen him demonstrate numerous times over the years. That's it.
Thanks. And in closing, I just want to say, I think sometimes we take for granted how awesome our schools are here in Humboldt ISD, and the fact that we have leaders like Mr. Hurst. I grew up in schools. My mom's a school teacher, and my father was a deacon, so you can imagine what my house was like. Very strict, and education was very important in our house, and still is. And it's fun to watch principals like Mr. Hurst and the other principals in our school district, and Don, this was a lot of fun. I'd like to highlight another principal sometime soon. This was pretty neat. There's nothing I can say that can top what's already been said about him by those who work directly with him. And I'll pass the mic back to Don, and we got to highlight Mr. Pollard.
Okay. On this one, what we've got, thank you very much, Corey. We really appreciate that. So this year, there was an honor bestowed on one of the principals here at Summer Creek High School, and it's kind of interesting because he called me from Salt Lake City, and he says he's grading some kind of papers. I don't know what it is, why you go to Salt Lake City to do that, but he was excited about that. But he made this tape for us.
I'm so sorry I can't be in Texas with you today, but I wanted to thank, first of all, Mr. Gaddy for giving me the chance to speak to you. Thank you for all of you here at Summer Creek Viscom for what you do for our school. Really thank you for that. I'm here, as you can see, we're here at the Latter-day Saints Temple here in Utah, grading AP exams this week, and so I'm pretty exhausted from having graded so many papers today. But I hope to get to meet you guys maybe when I get back or something like that. Just an interesting tidbit, while I was here, went on a historical tour of the genealogy building over here, found out that me and Principal Thyron Hurst might be 17th cousins. So I'm trying to investigate that, but if so, I'm going to put that in display and ask for a raise in the fall. In the meantime, thanks for all that you do, and God bless. Thank you.
Great. That's great. You'll be able to see the video. Sam Pollard. And so what an honor to be able to have one of the teachers of the year and such a great teacher. So one of the things that we've seen with the growth of this area, it also, and this is one of the main themes that I want to mention throughout the program today, is opportunities. And I'm going to mention different people because of the things that I see in you, those leadership qualities. And one of the things, before I bring Corey back up, we have a time that I'm really excited for her and her husband, but it's a loss to me. And that is because we have a very dear friend in the head of school at Holy Trinity. In 2007, they hired a young lady named Shirley Ellisor. And one of the things that when you meet a person and you meet someone, you say, you know, that's just a classy person. That's the way I feel about Shirley. Such a dear friend. We're so excited for you about getting to spend time with Don and your grandkids and all. But we thank you so much for the friendship. We thank you for you being you. Do you want to say anything at all?
Just that I will tell you, I was here in the hard hat, and it is amazing to me what this group and what you have led this group to do in the community and what it has meant to this whole district and to this whole area. And I really applaud you all for that.
We appreciate you very much, Shirley. Thank you. Give her a round of applause, please. If you're not familiar with that situation, Holy Trinity is very, very blessed to have had Shirley Ellisor in their career. So we appreciate you. Now, another thing that's way cool about the growth of this area is the Observer has been a great friend of ours. And let me come back and let me say something else that's so vitally important. This wouldn't have got started without Trey Kramer. And that's all there is to it. He opened this up. It wouldn't have got started without Dr. Sconzo being open. How many schools do you know of that we could have something like this, much less that we'd have prayers? That's not going to happen, at least at this point. Hopefully that will spread. But Trey Kramer has been a fantastic person to get this started with. And I want us to come back to Mr. Hurst. How would you like to follow Trey Kramer at anything? I mean, the fact that he has done so amazingly well tells you a lot about him with a very, very different management style. So one of the things that's so good about these kind of partnerships is the fact that as we've grown, the Observer has been a great friend. Jennifer Summer, where are you? Jennifer, thank you, super lady, for writing all those things. And Mr. Podarsky, I'm not saying that right, wherever you are, she left. So anyway, okay, but we're glad she's here. But I want to let Corey have about 2 or 3 minutes to explain something that's a great opportunity for businesses in this area.
Thanks, Sam. I'll be get in and get out with respect to everybody's time here. This is really about thinking outside of the box. It's something that Don mentioned earlier, and I challenge our staff to do it at all times. I'll speak to the background on our company. We got papers around the Houston area. That's kind of a map of our coverage. Next slide, Sam. And here's our team. I want to pause here for a minute. One thing on that map, all of the green area is the area that I'm responsible for. I've got a staff here in Humboldt, and I've got another office in Cleveland. Our Humboldt staff covers all of these communities alone. And if you go to the next slide, Sam, if you can see there's 2 reporters. So if you add that up, how many school districts that is, how many cities, multiple counties, agencies within those counties, nonprofits, the list goes on and on and on. It's a big demand on the staff, and those of you who know Jennifer Summer know how hard she works to cover as much ground as possible. I put this note at the bottom because everyone in here is a part of our staff as well. If you didn't know that, welcome to our team. We appreciate having you, and we look forward to the news tips and everything else that you will give us now that you know you're on our staff. Next slide, Sam. To give some background on why we're trying something different and want to start this Summer Creek page, I wanted to provide a quick snapshot of what the Atascocita Observer looked like when it started in 2002. And you can see just from the headlines, the community's come a long way. The spotlight on the fire chief at the time, a feature on George Turner, who many of you in this room probably know, and our stadium is named after him. A news story on the Atascocita Residents Care Committee and its effort to fight trees as our area was growing at the time, and a library feature and Timberwood Middle School's first fall carnival. Fast forward today, our circulation has now increased to 17,000 homes. That number will increase as well. I won't go into the growth. Everybody here knows how fast our community is growing and the demand it puts on our businesses and all the great things that come with that growth. And my challenge to our team and to our newspaper is to think outside of the box and find ways to meet that growth as a newspaper that will benefit our businesses, benefit our organizations, and all of our readers. Quick snapshot of the goal for the Summer Creek section. We want to highlight news specific to Summer Creek schools, businesses, churches, and organizations. We want to provide monthly updates about growth in the area and stories that impact the local economy, and commentary from local community leaders. I want to warn you guys, Don has volunteered to contribute to that on a regular basis, so be careful what you say and do around Don for the next couple of months here. A calendar of upcoming events, that's something very important. As a community newspaper, I believe, and our staff believes, it's very important for us to be on the front end of news, not behind it. We want to tell everyone in the community what's going on. We've got families in all of our coverage areas that want to know what's going on, and we want to do a better job of telling that information in advance. Photos of the week. I can't tell you how many papers fly off our shelves just from the photos alone. Everybody in here is a proud parent. If you've seen your child or someone in your church published in the paper, we get those requests all the time. So we want to provide more pictures from the Summer Creek area, and ways to help local organizations through fundraisers, project graduation, and other opportunities. One great thing about working at a community newspaper, and also a challenge, is the requests that we get to support local organizations, to support nonprofits. And as most of you probably know, Summerwood is thriving with young people doing some incredible things. It's almost every day we've got a cheerleading team going off to Virginia for a cheerleading competition, our local Little League teams, our sports programs, scouts, the list goes on and on and on. And as the community continues to grow, these opportunities continue to come across our desk. And this is hard to read, but this is a snapshot of what we're looking for with this Summer Creek page. You can see here on the left, there's some commentary opportunities. We'll continue to provide news coverage specific to the area. There you can see some of the photos of the week. And there's 2 things we need to make this successful. One, we need the feedback from everyone in this room. So if you're the head of an organization, if you're a pastor of a local church, we want to know what's going on. We want to know how we can help. We want to inform and empower our readers throughout the community to get involved in what you have going on. And if you see these stars here, these are advertising and sponsorship opportunities. I'll stay within my 3 minutes and won't break down each one of those, but it's a great opportunity. We talked about return on investment earlier. There's a great return on this investment. It's a win-win. It's a way to promote your business and also support local organizations and give us more opportunities to highlight those organizations. This is my contact information. To stay within the 3 minutes, I printed out 2 handouts. I've got one handout if you're a leader of an organization and want to know how to get your information published in the Observer. You want to know how to get that information to us so we can come out and cover the events, the fundraisers that you have. Please come see me. And if you own a business or you're a decision maker in the area, I've also got a flyer that breaks down the sponsorship opportunities to hopefully make this successful. I'll leave you with a quote I shared yesterday, so if you heard me yesterday, I'm going to repeat it. But I read this in a book, and it says, if you're not making mistakes, you're not tackling hard enough problems, and that's a big mistake. And that's something I challenge our team to do, to think outside the box, to take risks, to try some things that may not have been done with newspapers before. And we'll hit some bumps along the road, but it'll allow us to take our newspaper to new heights. Thanks for the time, Don, and I look forward to talking to some people afterwards.
Thank you very much, Corey. And so one of the things, just a great friend that we have at the Observer newspaper, and my understanding, since you all are all on staff, the checks in the mail for everybody, right? But now one of the things he said in there, that there will actually be a column on a consistent basis. I'm not planning on writing all of those. So on some of you folks, I'm going to be asking for some help on some things with that. But Corey, we're excited about that. Before we go to the next part, Nora Whitbolt, are you here right now? Okay, one of the things that they asked me to mention is that the YMCA has got a pickup program, and I'm going to butcher this, but they've got something, so you can kind of be looking for this with Wood Creek Middle School. So we're excited about that, getting that going. So this next part, and just part of the growth down here, how many of you have ever heard of a gentleman named Carl Karcher? Anybody ever heard? Okay, ever heard of Carl's Jr.? Okay. Carl's Jr., and we've got a great opportunity here because of the growth. We've got a gentleman that's going to tell us all about that. Keith Isbell, would you mind coming up, please? Thank you, Doc.
I should first say that one of the first things that I saw was from Waste Management. One of those two teachers is my wife. So, she's Annette. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk. I'm going to stay within the few minutes that I've got. Just some quick history on where all this started. In 2003, I got here from Chicago, which actually this was coming back home, and opened up my first restaurant in Pasadena, Panera Bread. And we opened that one up, and we had signed on to build a whole bunch of them. And over the course of that time, we've opened some and we've closed some. And today we own 14 Panera Breads in town, and we own 5 Carl's Jr.'s. And I can tell you that in all those years, there were a lot of years that were tough. Most business owners understand that. I mean, I can remember just 6 years ago writing a budget for the next year to lose money. And it was a very, very difficult time for all of us, but a challenging time. And it's part of that never stay in your comfort zone. You know that you're developing and getting better. And that's exactly what it was. Today, we're continuing to grow. By the end of this, by February, we'll be at 25 restaurants, $50 million in business. But the one that I'm probably the most excited about is the one that's right next door. I live in Walden. So every day, I get to go down Westlake, Houston, and I get to see, over the years, the traffic, see the cars, see the homes. I get to sit in the traffic, by the way. It has been incredible to watch that. And then actually to be here and to see all this, and I know we got more presentations coming up, but to be a part of what's going on in Summerwood is pretty cool. I will tell you that where we're going to be located is near the HEB. There is a Chase Bank. Will be right next door. And when I brought the real estate committee in to come take a look, because as a franchisee we have to be approved for all this, they didn't want to approve it. They felt like it was green. They felt like, of course they're from California, so they didn't actually live here. So the way that went was, we're going to move forward and we're going to do it. And we finished our deal, and in October of this year, weather permitting, everything permitting, we'll open up a Carl's Jr. in this community. And we're excited about it. And I believe that as more starts to come in, and I'm hearing all the stuff that probably most of us are hearing in the room, is that there'll be an opportunity in the coming year, 2 years, for us also to bring one of the Panera Breads also to the Summerwood community. We're in Atascocita, so we're close. And in terms of connecting with the community, if you're around these parts, I hope that you know that we do a pretty good job of that. And we will do that with Carl's Jr. We're excited. It's the latest and greatest, newest prototype. In fact, 2 days ago, I had to meet with the architects and the design team because I'm putting in a bunch of new stuff, including a really cool patio. Not something you normally see in a quick serve or what used to be called fast food restaurant. The quality of the food is off the charts. It is hand-battered chicken tenders. It is biscuits that are made from scratch every morning. Again, something that's a little bit different. And in fact, right now in test is the buns will actually be baked inside the store. So we're excited about doing that. And as far as Panera goes, again, one thing that I just want to mention because I'm so excited about it is that starting in October, every Panera Bread in the system, so nationwide, will have one menu item that will be on there that will be a suggested price only, which means that if you don't have money, you don't have the money to come in, or you have some, that's okay. If you have nothing, that's okay. So if you don't have a nickel, you can come in and eat. In every Panera Bread in this country, and that is awesome. And that's the 1 in 4. Cool. It's all around food insecurity, and it's 1 out of every 4 Americans don't know where their next meal is coming from. And so, in addition to that, we have donation boxes up front, and for every dollar you put in, we do a match. As a franchise group, we do that. Additionally, at the end of the day, we donate all the product, all the bread goes to the Houston Food Bank in every Panera Bread in the country, including my 14, soon to be 17 locations. So that was the Panera Bread plug. I didn't tell you I was going to do that. And but we're excited about coming. I appreciate y'all's time and letting me come out and say a few words. Thank you.
Actually, I'm kind of glad that you're giving me advance warning. I'm going to have to step up my workout program with all the rest of it. So, before we go on to the next part, I wanted to mention a couple of things to you. One, up here, Lori Ford, that you saw earlier, Coach Ford's wife, asked me to, and they're on vacation also, but I wanted to share something with you that she sent me an email. And if you remember, we helped the Key Club get started here at Summer Creek High School. She said, my Key Club members are setting aside Tuesdays for June and July to give the women and children at the door. Are you familiar with that? It's our local shelter for families who have victims of domestic violence. And so what they're doing is since the children are out of school, the kids, they're trying to help with giving them experiences that are going to be great for the kids. So she's asking for people, because she's soliciting funding in the form of cash or checks in the next few weeks, and they're going to make experiences for these children of domestic abuse families. So if you want to help with that, her contact information is up here. And if you're not familiar with Miss Ford, she is an inspiration because she has gone through cancer and just kept a great upbeat attitude through the whole thing. Brian Ford has too. What a great couple in our community. So keep that in mind as well. Now, does anybody know what happened in May that was kind of fairly important to our school district? Anybody might know about that? Some kind of little election or something that went on? Okay. Well, that was an interesting time, and we're blessed today to have the president. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if you're a school board member, raise your hand. Okay. Aren't we blessed? We have the entire school board here today. Please give them a round of applause.
Before I start, I just want to say, Keith, my daughters are extremely excited you're coming. You're going to build in the Kroger Center, is that right?
For
North Park?
Yes, I'm building both side by side.
Wonderful, thank you.
Absolutely.
I have to drive to Tascocita to get those cinnamon bagels. Now I can go there for free. Yeah, but yeah. Every Saturday morning, I'll be there, baby. Yeah, I don't miss too many cinnamon bagels, that's for sure, as you can tell. My name is Brent Engelagi, and I am the new school board president, believe it or not. And yeah. Shocking. My mother's shocked. My wife is shocked. We're all shocked. But it's just because of seniority. We are elected president based on seniority. So we have our next presidents all in line here today. So we did have a election in May, and then we had the swearing in on Tuesday night. So I do want to introduce my fellow school board members real quick. The next president, the current vice president, Mr. Robert Scarfo, if you raise your hand, stand up. And then the next president after that will be Mr. Robert Sitton. Mr. Sitton, you'll stand up. Immediate past president, Mr. Charlie. No, you're not Charlie. That's Charlie. Charles Cunningham. I never call you Charlie. Charles Cunningham. Then we had 2 new board members sworn in, and we'll go ladies first. Angela Conrad, right here. Now, let me tell you something about Angela. I'm a little worried about Angela. She's a bit of a radical, because everybody else put their left hand on their Bible and raised their right hand. She put their right hand on the Bible and raised the left. So I'm not sure what that means. We're in for a long, tough 4 years. No, we're excited to have you. We really are. And then Mr. Heath Rushing, right here. He'll be president in 2026 or something like that. He'll be president at some point. So we're all presidents. My day job is a physical therapist. I'm an orthopedic physical therapist for Select Physical Therapy. My office is way that way at Willowbrook. So I've got a lot of speaking engagements to go to over the next few months. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. Mr. Scarfo will probably be seeing a lot for these lunchtime ones, because I just can't take this much time away from work. But anyway, I've been asked to speak a little bit about what has happened with the board election, and we just did that, and also to give you a brief update about what happened in Austin, or what is happening, because there's things that have happened even as of today. House Bill 5. Who's heard of House Bill 5? House Bill 5 was a huge education bill. And just to highlight it just briefly, our schools used to have 15 end-of-course exams to graduate. We now have 5. English 1, English 2, biology, U.S. history, and what am I forgetting? Algebra. Algebra 1, right. So those are going to be the end-of-course exams, which puts us more in line with the top 10 schools, not schools, but states in the nation. They have usually between 3 and 5 end-of-course exams. We're going to have 5. So that's a big thing. It also realigns how we graduate, because students now can pick a different track. There's an arts and humanities track, a business and industry track, science and math track, a public services track, and a distinguished achievement track. There's still going to be 4 years of math, 4 years of English, 3 years of math, science, and social studies. So depending on which track you pick as to how much of that you're going to take. Okay? So that's the nuts and bolts of House Bill 5. There's a lot more to it, but for the sake of time, I'll just leave it at that. The other thing is we're going to get some money back, which is very exciting. We lost, as a lot of people have read, over $5 billion across the state. We're going to get some of that back, which will help us out a ton. We're still going to be below where we were 2 years ago, but we'll take what we can get. It's a lot better than 2 years ago. So we're excited about that. We haven't decided how we're going to spend that yet. So if anybody has any suggestions, just let me know. Then I'll tell Mr. Scarfo, and he'll say no. So he doesn't spend much money, which is really good for your taxpayers. Anybody heard of the school marshal bill? School marshal bill? School marshal bill would allow a teacher, coach, principal to have a gun on the premises of school, locked in the front office. They have to take 80 hours, I think, of training to then be considered a school marshal. That won't happen in Humboldt ISD. I can assure you that's probably not going to happen. Dr. Sconzo's against it. I'm against it. There's a lot of folks that are against it. It's going to be great for smaller school districts who don't have big burly police officers like that. He's got his gun already cocked and pointed at me if I say that we are for school marshals. We're not. We are not. Or I'm not. I'm not speaking for the rest of the board. But so it's an interesting bill. I'm glad they have it because there's a lot of smaller school districts. There's 1,100 across the state who need something like that. So, and the very last thing before I sit down is this morning the governor signed the Merry Christmas bill. If anybody's not heard of the Merry Christmas bill, it protects teachers, principals, administrators, school board members from being prosecuted for saying Merry Christmas in a school. So let me, as I sit down, I want to be the very first school board principal. School board principal, school board president. Looking back there, school board president. I have a hard time saying that stuff. School president to say Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you.
I just want to take a minute, and it's such an honor, really, for our school board to come, and I know you all have very busy schedules, and I just so appreciate you all making time to come today. I appreciate you all making time, and it is a dedication. I would say being a school board member is kind of like dog years. And so we just have such a great school board, great superintendent. We appreciate you all very much. Please give them a round of applause. And I wanted to, just before we go to the next person, we wanted to talk about Tommy Price. You mind raising your hand real quick? Tommy is the associate superintendent. Am I getting that close?
Chief Academic Officer.
Chief Academic. That's Tommy Price right there. Okay, so that's, I may need to go back to school, Tom. But any other administrators from Mobile ISD, please raise your hand. Okay, great. And Chief of Police right over here, our dear friend, we're so glad you're here as well. Thank you. We appreciate you so much. Okay, so before we go on to the next thing, Heath Rushing, another great partner of ours, is Memorial Hermann. Do you have like 30 seconds to mention something that you ought to do?
Just wanted to let everybody know that we have a significant project going on at the hospital right now that will impact this community greatly. About 2 months ago now, we shut down our entire cancer center to go through a complete rebuilding and renovation of what's offered inside. And so what ultimately ends up coming from this is on June 27th at 4:30 will be your first chance to take a look at the new cancer center at Northeast Hospital that will be offering state-of-the-art, the first to offer some of these therapies in cancer in our area of Northeast Houston. And so it's something we're very excited about. Brand new linear accelerator, brand new CT simulator, brand new high-dose radiation offering in the community. And I'd like to recognize one of the physicians who's leading that effort for us that's here today, and that's Dr. Kalidas right here. Dr. Kalidas is a full-time medical oncologist through UT, and our partnership Memorial Hermann has with UT Physicians and UT Health is on our campus full-time leading that charge. She has support from breast and urology specialists currently at this time that supplement her practice on our campus, offered here locally. And soon to follow will be GI that will also be offered on campus as well. We do have some invitations here for you today to take for the grand opening or the grand reopening of the Cancer Center, and we hope to see everyone there on June 27th. Thank you.
Okay, also, one of our dear friends, Lone Star College, David, would you mind raising your hand? We appreciate now we're going to get to keep you for a while, huh? All right, man, we love having you here. Thank you for being here. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to mention to you, and this is one of our major opportunities in my opinion. One day I was in my office and we have a great professional that works with FedEx, and he comes into me and he says, you know, my wife is heading up something over at Humble Middle School. Would you come for a career day? I said, okay, that'd be all right. That'd be fine. I've done those kind of things before. What a unique experience. And you're going to find out in just a second. We've done a pretty good job with the BizComs connecting with the high schools. But you know, with the middle schools, there's a lot of opportunity. And the more we can help, you know, the reality is not every child in our district comes from a 2-member household where things are good, right? And it's amazing. You think back to your life about the people that maybe just said a word to you or a sentence or spent a little time with you that helped you get to where you got today. And so what we saw that day was something unique. If you don't mind heading up, Mr. Phipps, it was a unique experience from the standpoint of got to be in and interact with kids, very, very well behaved. But one of the things that I appreciated about Mr. Phipps was he was very aware of our time. So the people had a really good lunch, by the way, which we appreciated. And then the other thing is he let us all have an opportunity to stand up and talk a little bit about what we do. But I think there's great opportunities. Mr. Phipps, you talked about that.
Someone said it could not be done. So with the chuckle he replied, then maybe it couldn't. But he would be the one who would not say so until we tried. When we started this College and Career Day, the planning for it, a lot of people said, it's too big. You're trying to do too much. We didn't stop. We had 50 presenters from the community who came out and spent their time talking to our students. We had people that ranged from Texas Rangers to engineers, college professors. Then we topped that with 20 colleges and universities in the gym to talk to students. But yet that still wasn't good enough. I want you to raise your hand if you've met in your lifetime an astronaut. Raise your hand. We had an astronaut to talk to our entire 6th grade students, 400 kids. First time they talked to an astronaut, first time their principal talked to an astronaut. She's one of only 400 women who've been in this space in the United States. And she's excited. She'll be back in the fall, she'll be back in the spring when we do it again. Done, we talked for about an hour after the College and Career Fair. And he said, I need you to come and talk to the BizCom community. And I said, I'd love to. As I said earlier, Humble Middle School is the only middle school in the district that's split between 2 high schools. And I want you guys to know that we will have another College and Career Fair again in the fall and the spring of next year. But I will give you the opportunity during that time to meet with the people who are there so that you can make connections with the business community. I value your time, and that was the biggest compliment that I could have gotten, because I wanted the people there to see the value in coming out, and I wanted them to understand that we appreciate them, but we're not going to misuse them. We're going to allow them to receive as well as to give. So with that said, I wanted to speak and say those few things, and I wanted to end with, and I loved your speech about some failed and some were very successful. And I'll close with, even hope may seem but few when the trouble should be set. But remember, you are facing just what other men have been. You may fail, but fall still fighting. But don't give up whatever you do. Eyes front, head high to the finish. See it through. Thank you.
You know, what I wanted to mention to you, he was planning on being in Austin today, and he changed his schedule to be here. That's the kind of commitment that we have from the school district in our community. We appreciate that so much. I did talk to Mr. McDonald at Wood Creek Middle School. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to interact with middle schools and then on down into the elementary schools, giving schools what they need, but also you as a business, you have to stay in business, right? You have to make a profit. And what better way to be able to, and I'm going to mention a few people today. The advisory group that you're here today, raise your hand. All the people on our advisory board, raise your hand. Come on, Kyle. Come on. Raise your, okay, so these people have dedicated themselves behind the scenes. And Gerard, I so appreciate you doing the notes. That joke's getting old, you know.
Yeah.
She does a great job. She somehow gets those notes to me by the time this is over, pretty much. But they're wonderful people in here. But just for example, Noah LeBeau, he moved over here. And he served in this area for several years before he ever got over here. And now I've had the opportunity to do business with him. What a pleasure, Noah. And the list just goes on of wonderful people in our community, and we appreciate you so much. But you know, I've got to say at this point, one of the greatest things that happened to us as a group was one day Trey and I were talking about this, and basically the gist of the conversation was this thing's getting bigger and bigger. And really we need to kind of look at getting some help on this. And that's when he suggested us becoming a part, under the umbrella of the Humble Area Chamber of Commerce at the time, which is now Lake Houston. And as many of you know, Charlie Drumgoole has headed that up for the last several years and done an excellent job. Charlie, would you come up and just give us a brief overview? And I think you're going to be excited about some things that are going on that side as well. Please give him a round of applause.
Well, I know to keep it short, my Baptist preacher daddy always never had a sermon go past 12 noon, because if we did, we wouldn't be from Methodist to the restaurant. So we don't have to race the Methodist to the restaurant today, but I need to tell you a few things about what's going on. And Henry, I'm the exact opposite. You put me in front of a group of kids and I go speechless, you know. So anyway, let me tell you, you're getting ready to see a lot of activity out in this area. Several months ago, well, it's been about a month and a half ago, Lewis Smith and Scott Brady and I went to Fairfax, Virginia, to represent the Lake Houston area at the ExxonMobil Relocation Fair. And this is a fair, this was a Discover Houston event for all the ExxonMobil people in Fairfax, Virginia, all 2,500 of them that are going to be relocating to Houston next year. And we came with information on the Lake Houston area that we spent 2 days, from 8 to 5, 2 days providing information to these families. And there was a lot of excitement about our area. Because when you look at a map and you look at where the ExxonMobil plant is, and the plant and plus their global headquarters, and then a plant in Beaumont, a lot of those folks have to go to all three of those. And when they look at our area, they see this is a very convenient place for them to be. Plus, they see the value of our education system and the housing. And so I'm here to warn you that ExxonMobilers are coming. They're not all going to the Woodlands. And there's going to be a lot of folks that are interested in our area. And so watch for that over the next few months or next year, because they're going to start coming. And a lot of those people had been in our area before, but didn't know some of the changes that had taken place. When they heard the Beltway was open now, oh my goodness, that was just a great deal. So just wanted to tell you about that, because there's going to be a lot of activity. Another thing that you all know, that in Generation Park right next door, sold 173 acres to FMC Technologies, and they're working on they have not disclosed what they're going to do at that facility, but their utilities will be in place by mid-2014, and hopefully in the next few months we will learn what they're going to be doing out in this area. But Generation Park is moving along real well. They're in serious conversations with several larger projects other than FMC, and then are beginning to get a lot more contacts on people looking at various pieces of property out there. And so it's a real exciting time. You're going to start seeing some digging out here. They're going to build a 58-acre detention pond, the largest detention pond and one of the largest detention ponds in Houston. And they're also doing some the design work on Westlake Houston Parkway, and Lockwood is being done to make those 4 lanes. So there hasn't been a time frame. I know they're working with the county on those roads. So there's a lot of activity going on. This is a 20 to 30 year project. Don't think that Generation Park is going to be completed by next week, or next year, because it's a long-term deal. But it's going to be a huge addition to our community. What? You don't think it'll be 20 to 30 years?
No, I said I'll be dead.
Well, maybe we'll name the road after you. You put that in, okay? You already got a state park named after Eugene, Garner State Park. But you haven't even gone yet. So, I do want to tell you about a couple other things. I'll be quick here, Don. We're also in the middle of our Economic Development Partnership Program. If any of you are interested in participating, we've raised $80,000 a year, or $320,000 over a 4-year period for our Economic Development Program. If any of you have any interest, please let me know. And we're moving along with that. We've got our first economic development employee, a young man named Michael Pratt, who's from Kingwood. Is working on his master's degree from the University of New Orleans in urban planning. And so if you need any research done, Michael is a whiz. So please feel free to call us if you need some demographics or any type of information done. Michael's doing a great job. We're getting ready to start visits with all of our existing industries, business retention expansion visits, so that we make sure we help the people that are here. I hate to quote Darrell Roll, but dance with them that brung you. And we're going to try to really make sure that we take care of our local industry. And Don, I think I've gone over, and we're going to lose to the Methodists again.
Thank you, Charlie. We appreciate you very much. Give him a hand. He may be excommunicated from A&M, quoting Darrell Royal, but
I got to tell you something. We had an award winner here, the small business. What?
It's good that you're prepared, Charlie.
I went to the award ceremony and
We won one of the top businesses in.
That is awesome. Well, tell me your name and business.
Lisa Bounce Tutoring Center.
That
to
is-
the pre-K through 12th grade.
That is awesome. Congratulations. Okay. Before we go on to the next part, Stephanie, just real quick, raise your hand, Stephanie. Stephanie is fantastic with the chamber. Please give her a round of applause. And if you're not a member of the Chamber of Commerce and you feel like that might make sense to you, have a conversation with her because they have different ways. The main thing that I love about the direction the Chamber's gone, they want this to make sure, just like return on investment today, getting involved with that needs to help your business, not hurt it. So I got one other quick thing before we go on to individual introductions. I don't see Milton Peterson here today, but we just appreciate him so much and all the work he did on Project Graduation. We'll have him talk about that the next time he gets here. And if you notice at the end of your agenda, our next Summer Creek BizCom meeting is going to be on September 12th, and that's going to be right here. That'll be number 20. And then I know that the Humboldt BizCom is going to be on the 25th, is that correct? 20th. We want it. It's difficult at the end of the year. Usually we don't like having a bunch of them all in the same month, but it just kind of worked out this time. So, but be sure and go to that if you possibly can. So in our next meeting at HEB, where are you? Raise your hands. We love you guys. Thank you for being such a great partner to us as well. Please tell Tony I'll be on a good vacation, but they're going to be providing lunch next time, and the Shell Federal Credit Union is going to be the presenting sponsor. So at this point, it's noon, a little past noon, and what we do is each person here has an opportunity to say a little bit about what their organization. Now I'm going to ask you a favor, because I'm going to get some big burly guys, the chief is here maybe. Keep it to 30 seconds or less, please, because if we got a lot of people, we want to make sure that they're able to do that. So I'm going to just give you an example of what it's like about what I do for my real job. And how many of you are going on a trip this summer? Anybody? Okay. Isn't it nice to know where you're going? People ask me all the time, what do you do